Hi, everybody. My name is Jacob McWilliams, and I use he, him, and his pronouns. And I'm really excited to be part of this project and was really excited to be asked to contribute video materials for this project. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I earned my PhD from Indiana University in 2015. My PhD is in learning sciences, which is a field within the broader discipline of education. So it's an education doctorate. I had a concentration on gender, sexuality, and policy studies, and my dissertation work focused on issues related to gender diversity in education. And the work that I've done since then has really focused on queer and trans issues in education, but more broadly, more specifically, higher education. After finishing my PhD, I took a postdoctoral research position at the University of Colorado Boulder, where I was for about 2.5 years. And then in 2017, I moved to the University of Colorado Denver, where I serve as the director of our Women and Gender Center. And I have been there for the last 3 years. What advice would you give to graduate students in queer and trans studies who will be on the academic and higher education job market in the next 1 to 2 years, particularly given university austerity measures that may privilege dominant forms of research and scholarship or result in hiring freezes? Okay, so if your experience in graduate school is anything at all like mine, you've gotten so much advice about this issue, and you're going to get so much more before you're done. I want to make it clear that a lot of that advice is not good advice. And I think this is a particular problem for those of us who carry marginalized identities, particularly for those of us who identify as queer or transgender or non-binary. Um, a lot of our mentors don't share those identities, and so may or may not have a full sense of the pressures and the forms of bias, implicit and explicit, that find their way onto our research and our bodies as we're going through the job search process. I also think a lot of our mentors went through the job search process and graduate school in a really, really different higher education environment than the one that you're going through right now. And this was true before the pandemic, but particularly true right now during the pandemic. But the dynamics and the context of higher education and the dynamics of academic job searches so different today than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. That's how quickly things have changed in higher education. And I think it's just so funny to me that so many academics will do all kinds of gymnastics to believe two things simultaneously. First, that higher education is an inequitable system that benefits the privileged, and to believe that they got their positions because of their own excellence. Those two things are in conflict with each other, and our ability to contain both of those things and live in that contradiction sometimes just destroys me. But anyway, the system is broken. And the reality is, even if you do all the right things, everything they tell you to do, the publishing, the teaching, the service, if you do all of it, you still might not get a job. And it's not a cop-out to blame the system and not yourself for this. Academia will push you. If you don't get a job, or you don't get the job you want, or you don't get a job fast enough, you'll be pushed and pressured to wonder if maybe your publication record isn't strong enough, if your CV isn't long enough, maybe your teaching record isn't good enough. Because when you're questioning those things, you're not questioning whether the entire system is set up to benefit the people who are not a threat to that system. If you're queer or transgender, if you're BIPOC, if you're a person with a disability, or if you insist on the humanity and the survival of folks who fall into those categories, you pose a threat to the university system. So if you're doing queer or trans studies, you pose a threat. So think about the university as a workplace that has needs and wants its employees to meet those needs. And you may have some of those skills that are necessary to the university. So maybe you have experience helping instructors or faculty redesign syllabi to enhance LGBTQ+ inclusion. Maybe you have experience advising or mentoring students, including queer and trans or non-binary students. Maybe you've navigated the process of changing your name or your pronouns in a university system, and you can offer that expertise to somebody else. Maybe you've developed workshops. So think about all the different ways that you offer something to a university in addition to the research that you're doing, and try to sell those as part of who you are and what you bring. I think right now, experience with online pedagogy and instructional flexibility are super important, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. So make sure that you're getting the experience and the training you need to demonstrate that you can innovate with online tools and that you can share what you've done with other people. And by the way, I want to note one other thing, that it might be worth exploring non-faculty positions in areas related to your scholarship. So I currently work in a non-faculty role in a student-serving staff position as the director of my university's Women and Gender Center. And in my job, I get to work with tons of students and faculty. I still publish, I still do research, and I get to influence policy decisions on my campus.